illumination. Oh, Grandad. Please welcome Britain's top early morning chat show host and light entertainer, Aid Instone.
I'd like to thank Terry Dactyl for bringing me on there. Hey Terry, come and join us, will you not?
Always a pleasure.
So Terry, great to have you on the show this morning.
It's a pleasure to be here, it really is.
How's your lockdown been? What you been getting up to?
I've been fossilised in slate for 65 million years.
Oh yeah, a bit restrictive I suppose, yeah.
But you seem to have done all right for yourself. You got yourself a VIC-20. I had one of those. One of them new fancy phones. All on this nice counter.
It's a desk.
It's more like a kiosk.
If it was a kiosk, I'd be handing out some coupons or doing some franking or something.
More like a table, a lectern, a bench, a trestle.
What are you, some kind of thesaurus?
Yeah, I'm a Theosaurus Rex.
Anyway, now you are here, we might as well do a song together.
What have you got in mind?
I thought,
Don't stand so close to me. Staying alive. It's the end of the world as we know it.
what about What the Dinosaur?
Excellent.
Let's do it.
The diametric contradiction of was not was.
Open the door, get on the floor. Everybody walk the dinosaur. Open the door, get on the floor. Everybody walk the dinosaur. Open the door, get on the floor. Everybody walk the dinosaur. Open the door, get on the floor. Everybody walk the dinosaur. We've got a great show for you this morning. We've got Guinness World Record memory man, David Thomas. David Thomas, great not to have you with us this morning.
Great to be not here or there. Just glad to be somewhere.
Yeah, where are you?
Not with you.
Where actually are you?
Well, I'm just outside Halifax in Yorkshire. Not
Brilliant.
a million miles from you guys.
Just down the road, that's right. Now, I was going to ask you a question about memory, but I forgot what it was. So, so I will ask you this then. I know you as this memory expert, the world champion. World champion in what way? What are you talking about? You're in the Guinness Book of Records for what? And so tell us what you mean by and how you got into this memory business. What are you talking about?
Well, my background's kind of slightly interesting in as much as I didn't go down the college or university road as a kid growing up. I had a very challenging childhood. My mother's a lifelong alcoholic. My stepfather was 65 when I was 6 and used to beat me up quite often. And what it meant was that just by the time I got to 16, my life was just in bits. I got involved in crime. I nearly killed a police officer one night with an iron bar. Things just got a bit wild. So I got expelled at 16. So I'm working in a factory for £1 an hour. Then I eventually get an office job. Then I get my dream job, which is becoming a firefighter. So never having been to college, no qualifications, criminal record, to get this incredible job was everything to me at the age of 20. But the problem is I didn't know how to study. So I'm sat there one night, I saw a guy memorize a pack of playing cards on TV. And I was like, that is amazing. You know, like you do. Okay, just me. But I just thought it was fantastic. Bought his book and taught myself. And the reason I give that background is because it's important for me to say that when I explain a bit about some of the other stuff I've done, trust me, I was nothing special. I had no predetermined ability. I've even had my brain tested, and it's the same as everybody else. But after buying that book, 8 months later, I went to the World Memory Championships and came fourth. That was all the way back in 96. Then I came third. Then I broke a Guinness record for reciting pi. Most of the students learn that and then forget it, but they do it all in maths. and that was 3.14, goes on forever. And I recited pi to 22,500 digits. That was 98. 2004, I broke a world record for memorizing 100 packs of playing cards. And then I got a US green card, went and lived in America on the same street as Jay-Z and Beyonce, no less, Upper East Side Manhattan in New York. And I became US memory champion in 2007. So yeah, I've got all these accolades in memory, but the most important thing to say, and it's the only thing that really counts, is I have a trained memory. So I've learned how to do this stuff, but I was the same as almost every student. In fact, almost every adult I meet, where they always go, I've got terrible memory.
Because that's what people are going to say. That is what people are going to say. They say, well, it's all right for you with your clever brain. You just didn't know you had a clever brain. It turns out you did, and now you can do all this. But I'm terrible at memory. I can't do that. There's no way I could do that. I just stick to what I'm good at. So how do you convince people that, I know it sounds rude, how do you convince people that you're not special? Which, of course, you are.
Well, I think the thing is, there's a very simple truism. If I just tell you what I can do, that's just bragging. If I tell you what I think you can do, eventually I'll come up against your self-limiting belief. The only way it works is for me to show somebody, let them show themselves how good they are. So, for example, a nice simple exercise I'll do is, if I go into a school, I'll give them 20 objects to get about 12, 13. Then I show them how to memorize them around the room. And we'll always get one student who stands up, who's just gonna, he or she is destined to get straight ones at GCSE. And they stand up and recite them backwards. And I go, there you go. So first of all, what we do is I do interactive exercises when I'm in the room. But the other thing as well is, and this is me because that's the kind of person I am, but I just turn around and say, I don't care what you think. Thoughts are not facts. Feeling, I don't care what you feel. Oh, I'm not feeling it today, sir. I don't care what you feel. Feelings are not facts. Come to me with facts. Come to me with go and get a test done in a laboratory with a scientist, and then come back and tell me that your memory doesn't work properly. Because for 99.9% of you, that's not the case. And so the thing is that, in life we have a very simple, and I say this to the kids, and I get up there and metaphorically punch them in the face. I go, of all of you here, almost all of you are not going to be very successful. Not because you don't have the skill set, not because you can't learn it, because you've got access to everything, you've got the internet, but because you have a bad attitude. And I don't mean a bad attitude as in, kicking off. I just mean you sit there and go, I can't do this and I can't do that. And you know what? That's great. Because for the rest of us who sit there and go, maybe I can, if I just learn this or I get the right information. Those are the people that are successful. And the one statistic I give to the students, which they never quite grasp, and even I find it hard, is that there's less than 100 people in the world own more than 50% of all the wealth.
Yeah, that's scary.
And the point I make, Ed, is it's very, very simple. Life's not fair. In school, teachers treat you all the same because they're good people and because they have to. But once you get out there, you come to me and I give you a job to do and you say, I can't do that job. I go, brilliant, get your stuff and disappear. I'll find somebody else who can. And I just give them a big punch in the face. But then I'm there to help and inspire and also other stuff. But you know what? People get on my nerves when they sit there and go, I can't do it. I go, fine. Then I'll find somebody else who can.
Yeah, we've got enough disadvantages on us. Yeah, we've got enough challenges in the world without inventing more of them for ourselves. Yeah, definitely. So, what is the point of memory? I mean, all right, so you can remember pi. Well, that's a great party trick. A very long party, but yeah. But how long does it take? Just out of interest, because I have actually seen you do it, but not all of it. I think you only did it
4 hours and 25 minutes to recite.
Right.
22 and a half digits. You're getting on for 5 digits a second. It's like, 1 4 1 5 9 2 6 5 3 5 9 7 3 2 4 6. So it's that kind of speed.
Yeah. So that is brilliant. What a great gift to an audience. It must be highly entertaining to listen to that. But it's just, I mean, pi, don't knock it. Pi is very useful. You can find the circumference of a circle and all sorts of useful things with pi. But what's the point of memorizing a load of stuff like that? What I'm saying is, can we use our memory to actually benefit ourselves? Can we use it to remember stuff easier, better, for longer, or is it just a trick?
Well, you conflated two things there. So if you want to know why I did the pie, let's look at one thing. Why did I do the pie? I had worked out in a couple of years prior to that when people got involved in memory with me, they said, "Oh, you can do all this memory stuff." I go, "Yeah." Well, what I found is that if I had to explain what it meant, it didn't have any impact. So people go, "Oh, you've been to these memory competitions?" I go, "Yeah." And they go, "Well, what's that?" And I go, "Well, there's 10 events and this and this." And you can see their eyes glaze over.
Yeah.
But with the Guinness record, it was different because I said, "I've got a Guinness record." Everybody knows what that is. I recited pi. Everybody learns that at school. 22,500 digits. Everybody goes, "Oh man, 22,500 digits." People go, "No." So the thing is that there were two things about doing the Guinness record. One, highly recognizable and understandable. But the second thing was that I understand that in life, people naturally gravitate towards those people who are excellent at what they do. There is absolute true value in being better than somebody else. Whether we like that or not, whether we think that's fair or not, there is. If you've got higher grades in exams, chances are you're going to get better options at university, a better job. If you come out with a better degree, you're going to earn more money, etc., etc. Right? And so for me at that time, I understood there was an absolute value in doing something like a Guinness record. 6 hours a day for 6 months it took me to learn that number. Never needed it since, but it's the number one reason I get booked as a speaker. Now, 23 countries, 500,000 people. In terms of what's the value in improving your memory, it's a bit soft. I think when it comes to exams, just being able to sit down and being able to recall enough facts so that you know you're going to do well in your exams, it reduces the stress, reduces the anxiety. You know, GCSEs now are a bit of an issue. You're doing 10, 11 exam, different subjects, 20 odd exams, maybe a 2-month period. I've got a pile of study guides over there. There are roughly, give or take, between 50 and 60,000 words in each one. That's 500,000 words. So memory is not, when students say, "I can't remember," I get it. I'm not saying it's just a concept. It is for them. It's actually a practical problem. So the thing is, being able to remember more for your exams is important. When you get out into the big wide world, being able to memorize stuff is one thing that really sets you apart from the crowd. Being able to stand up and speak without any notes immediately gets you noticed. And yet I did a tour a couple of years ago where I ended up at Wembley. There were 24 speakers over the 6 gigs. It was only 2 of us spoke without any notes. Can you remember people's names? Can you remember information at work? These are the things that make you stand out from the crowd. So you get the job, you get the promotion, you get the recognition. It's a bit soft and it's a bit kind of fluffy. So but we know those people who can do those things.
So would you agree that you learning pi or learning the memory techniques, the playing cards, this sort of stuff, is that a bit like working out at the gym? Is that you've trained your memory in that, and then you can apply it to something else? It's not like you've learned pi and then so you have to start again with something else. Is it that once you've started improving your memory, you're better remembering other stuff? Does it work like that?
No, it does not. No, you can learn the basics. In terms of the neurological benefit, there's almost none. Because when my brain was tested, they said you got the same size brain, same number of cells, etc. What they showed is that my brain health was better, in as much as the number of impulses that pass around my head is higher, the speed at which they pass is higher, the synaptic connections between the brain cells is more flexible. I use parts of my brain that normally lie dormant. By the time you get to 30, you're working in a job where all you're really using is all the logical parts of your brain. You see lists, it's spreadsheets, it's numbers, and so on. The creative side, the brainstorming stuff at work, almost never happens. It's an away day once a year when you sit there and do some blue sky thinking and all that crap, right? The fact is that you don't really use it. So the thing is that memory improvement, memory training is based on creativity. It's about creating images. And So therefore, you tend to use that part of your brain even better. The connection between that and other parts of the memory or other parts of brain performance, I don't know. I don't have a study. I don't have the statistics, and I don't like just going, oh my god, yeah, my brain works really well all day, every day. I am a quick thinker. I'm a quick speaker. I can, but it's my job as well. I'm used to being live in front of 100 people, 50 people, 5,000 people. People say stuff, I reply straight away. So my brain thinking is very sharp. It's very quick, but I'm not entirely sure just how much better it was, because we forget, don't we? In terms of the gym, the gym is a good analogy, but it's a bit like going, I train out, I'm a competitive bodybuilder. So I go to the gym, but my only aim is to build as much muscle as I can without taking any drugs. So I'm not one of those bodybuilders who's going to have a 28-inch neck because I'm taking lots of steroids. I don't do that. But if I then go and do, say, CrossFit, where it's, how many deadlifts you do in a minute, I'm going to struggle. If somebody said, go and run up and down the hills, I would really struggle. I would be like, in about 400 yards. But I can go out into the gym and train for 2 hours at a time, pumping iron hard. So the problem you have is that memory is not memory. Going to the gym, fitness is not fitness. It's about, I train my ability. I'm brilliant at memorizing cards and numbers. I'm kind of brilliant.
So it sounds like what you're saying is that it's what you've been describing is you've applied yourself, you've applied your brain to a particular problem, and that is relevant for us at school, because we haven't got any exams coming up, we haven't even got any tests coming up, but we have got lots of information, and we're going to have tests next year, in the future, later on. And what students get stressed about is that I've got all this stuff, and I'm just going to forget it next year. So it sounds like, and tell me if I'm wrong, but the way you're describing it is that you've got techniques and tools that how you process that information. So I like the bit you said, it's a creative process and it's a visualization process. I mean, what we've come across with kids, that they just would read a book or read some information and think that's learning, and it's not. So can you tell us a little bit about these techniques and especially this visualization thing?
Well, I think that there is an important point to make about education. We learn stuff at a certain point. If we don't use that information, if we don't go through it again, it will disappear. We can't escape that. There's no point in kidding ourselves. They've done exercises with Harvard and Stanford where they've taken pretty bright people who've ended up with a degree and tested them a year later, and the scores have been significantly lower. The thing that is the difference for me is learning tools that allow you to learn what you need, when you need it, for a specific outcome.
Right.
That's a different kettle of fish.
Yeah.
So if you have a nice little toolbox of techniques, if I decide all of a sudden I'm going to go and do CrossFit training instead of bodybuilding, my body's going to get smaller. I'm not going to be as strong. But if I've learned how to deadlift, I can go and do CrossFit and use the knowledge I've got about lifting weights in a different manner. So I'm not going to be as strong. I'm going to lose that strength because I'm not doing it. So if you learn physics at GCSE and you never look at that paper again, you never look at that information again, then it's going to disappear. That's just the way of the world. But did it get you where you wanted to be? Did it get you to the fact you could do A levels or an IB or wherever you are in the world? Does it allow you to get the job or the apprenticeship? If it gets you where you want to be, then that's the point. The problem is when you're sat there and you're going, I need to pass that exam to get over there. And if I can't pass that exam, then I'm not going to get where I need to be. So when I was a firefighter, very simply, if I couldn't memorize 6 things that an officer needs to remember when you go to a chemical incident, I'm not going to pass the exam. I may never need those 6 things. In fact, I might even forget half of them after the exam. But then you kind of prep and you think about it and you go through whatever. 13 things on a fire extinguisher. Never need to know that ever again in the fire service, but you needed to pass the exam. So the thing is that the first thing is get yourself into the mentality of if you're going to forget stuff as you go through life. The key is to learn how to learn. And if you do that, that is going to be one of the most valuable skills you have. Because when you go into a company, they go, right, we've got this stuff and you need to learn it as quickly as possible. If you can learn it in half the time than the other person that started the same day as you, that makes you valuable in the marketplace. That means you're more likely to get promoted, you get more options, opportunities, you make more money if that's your outcome. Having the flexibility. But when it comes down to techniques, for me, it's just about basic stuff like mind mapping. Mind mapping is the greatest thing I've ever learned, ever in my life, let alone learn, let alone for memory or whatever, or learning. And yet I come into schools and teachers and students say to me, it doesn't work. And I go, brilliant, show me a mind map. And what you find is 90% are doing it wrong. What I mean when I say wrong is that Tony Buzan invented it in 1973. And now having nearly 1 billion people have used it worldwide. We know what is best practice, but people go off at a tangent to do it their way. But I've never had a student in 23 years who's used it who has not improved. Nobody's ever gone backwards, ever.
No, now you know that.
Astonishing tool.
So you know that after we've watched all this, we have our chat. We'll pass it over to our tutor groups, and we want them to try something, to do something, to discuss what we've talked about, and try something. What could we get them to do?
You just get a page out of a study guide or a notebook, and you just mind map it. But the most important thing is they've got to do it right. And the problem is almost nobody knows how to do it right because it's not on the curriculum. It's not. Students learn it a bit here and there, but they don't learn a lot. So teachers know how to do it. When I go into a school, it's a classic thing. I go, put your hand up if you've never heard of mind mapping. Nobody. 100% of teachers, 100% of students have heard about it. But then I say, show me how to do it. And because some apply it and they go off at a tangent, do it their own way, then it all ends up being a bit of a mishmash. So the most important thing is to follow the rules, which is, you start in the center, the branches come out, the words go on top of the branch. You go, really? You're talking to me like I'm 3. Trust me, having got hundreds of mind maps here, you'd be shocked how many people put words on the end, or they put them underneath, or they put them in bubbles. None of that. Simple stuff. You do a branch and then the next one starts at the end of the previous one. People go, you're telling me that? That's like simple. And I go, yeah. But people do a branch and then what they do is they feather it off underneath. Bad idea. We know this doesn't work. And yet people continue to do what is a bad practice. Not through any, not malevolently, or, it's just benevolent ignorance. Yeah. They don't know any better because they're not taught. So they kind of get shown it for an hour once in PHP. I always get it the wrong way around. PSHE or PHSE.
Well, we call it,
right?
Yeah, we call it Learning for Life, so it's much easier to remember.
That is gorgeous. A gorgeous phrase, learning for life. Because if you do that, you're going to be fine. You know that, right? We all know that. But yeah, if you're in a learning for life lesson, you get shown it once in maybe year 9 as you're coming up to GCSEs, and you get shown it for an hour by somebody who doesn't know how to do it well. And then it perpetuates the what unfortunately is not best practice. But so one thing is just get them to do, but actually don't even use a study guide. When I do it in schools, I say do it on anything you want, anything. And because I want people to just have a go. And I say, I don't care what it is, music, food, holidays, sport, whatever you like. Put football in the middle and put down your favorite players. Write food in the middle and put down all your favorite meals. I don't care, just have a go. Lots of pictures. We know that when you say ride the word camel, a fraction of the brain is being used. Drawing a camel, your brain likes up like a Christmas tree. And the very simple point of that is, the more of your brain that you use to create the information on the mind map, the more of your brain you've got to go back to access it to bring it back out. So when, I say to the kids, draw a camel, and they go, and I go, what's up? And they go, I can't draw, I can't do this, like the usual stuff. And I go, I didn't say it was a camel drawing competition. I said, look, it's just simple. If you draw a camel instead of writing the word camel, you're going to be able to remember it more. That will be more effective in your exams. And they go, okay. So just put pictures on there. Have a go. Lots of colour. Each branch is a different colour. The top one is whatever. Then when you move on to, Italian food is whatever colour. Say it's green. The whole branch is all the same colour. The words. Then you go over and you talk about Chinese food. Make that one blue. Because the brain can differentiate between 1 million different colours. Scientific study was done. Therefore, use colour. And just those simple things all of a sudden make a mind map. It's not about making a mind map pretty or colourful or childish or whatever. It's about making it effective.
I remember Tony Buzan saying that, why he called it a mind map and not a whatever way you could have called it, is that it is you're externalizing a map of your brain. So you're reordering your thoughts, aren't you? In a non-linear way, you're reordering all these ideas externally, which actually is reordering them internally. And then you're spotting connections, which is, as we know, that's what learning is. Oh, that's the same as that. That connects to that. So that's great.
Well, the thing is, when you get into the real world, I've spent more time in business teaching mind mapping than I have in schools, even though you feel like mind mapping would be more powerful for schools. But in reality, in business, it is enormous. I worked with a pharmaceutical company that brought a $1 billion drug to market 3 months early. You have no idea how happy they were. And we did it all with mind mapping. We had a team of 500 people worldwide, and they all did it through mind maps.
Now, when you were doing that, when you were training them, did any of them fight it and say, I'm not doing it like that? Or did they go with it?
Yeah, no, of course they fight it. Because, the thing is that students are brilliant. I always have an interesting question. I always go, so what do you think is the number one question I get asked when I say I've done pi to 22,500 digits? And teachers, like you, turn around and go, what's the point?
I never said that. I'm speaking on behalf.
You said very valid.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I'm teasing you, mate. I'm teasing you because I can. But the thing is that adults always go, what's the point? Why would you bother?
Yeah.
But when I go into schools, 90% of kids will go, how do you do it?
Yeah.
Right? So what I find interesting is that, students are brilliant because they're naturally curious. They don't think they are, but they are. By the time you get somebody who's 50 years old, they're a nightmare because they're doing the same job with the same people in the same industry, with the same customers, the same suppliers. They've got the same pub talking the same rubbish to the same mates. They've got the same holidays, they've got the same place on holiday, the same pastimes. You try changing a 50-year-old person, I'll tell you what, it's like the proverbial turning an oil tanker. It takes forever. So what I do is I go into a company at top level and I say to the boss, who is always very flexible, because he's scared all the time. Chief execs are scared people. They work up at 2 a.m. going, today's my last day in charge. Imposter syndrome, all the other stuff. And so I say to them, look, you do this and you're going to be more effective, more productive. You're going to make more money. You're going to do more work in less time. They've got brilliant, crack on. So I go into the company and I teach them and they'll sit there going, I'm not doing it. Boss comes in and goes, mate, you're doing it or you're out. Oh, okay, I'll do it. And yeah, sometimes it just is as simple as that.
Does that work for headmasters as well?
That's the brutality of work. Well, you get told what to do and you do it.
That worked for our headmaster as well then. So if we can do the same thing there, can we? He's get him into say you're
water flows downhill, mate.
Yeah. But I'm always surprised about the amount of 50-year-old kids that we have who refuse to use colour, want to put things in a list, don't want to. And the other thing that kids are very, 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 very good or bad at, which the point of view you've got, is when I've done mind mapping, I'm sure when you've done it, it's a bit rough, a bit rubbish, isn't it? It's a bit scruffy. It's, you might even have to do it again because you've run out of paper on your space on your paper. And what we get with kids is the most unusual thing is it's got to be perfect first time. I've done it wrong. And we're not allowed to use Tipp-Ex, but they want to use it because it's got to be, not every kid, but it's got to be immaculate. And the main thing there is, and so therefore I won't even do it. If it's going to be non-linear and it's going to be all over my page, I don't like the sound of that. It's going to go wrong. Have you come across that? Have you the idea of I'm not
of course.
This is perfect.
Well, first of all, you've got to be bad at anything first before you become good. Just understand that. It doesn't matter what you're going to learn in life. The first time you do it, you're going to be shocking. Nobody has natural gifts for stuff. You have to sit there and apply it and learn it. And that's what we find with students is that once you've done maybe, say, 5 mind maps, not many, all of a sudden the brain just goes bang and it turns. And all of a sudden then they understand the space on the page, how long to do the branches, and they become really good at it very, very quick. But they've got to overcome that initial inertia. But, again, I always come back, When I stand in front of kids, I say kids, young adults, right? They're not kids, are they? Junior school is kids. But when I'm talking to students, and I just stand there, and they know that somebody's coming in to help them with their exams. So I stand up, and my opening line is always the same. I go, put your hand up if you got up this morning and thought, I can't wait to go to school, right? And they all burst out laughing. I went, okay, so you didn't want to come to school. Put your hand up if you like studying, revising, and exams. And they just laugh, and I go, brilliant. So you don't want to study, revising, and exams? And they go, no. And I go, so what's going to happen if you don't get your exams? And they go, well, I'm not going to get the best job I can. And I go, so so I always say, what do you want from a job? And 1,000 kids will sit there and they always say the same thing: money.
Right.
So I go, how much? And the average is £100,000. Whether it's a great school or a struggling school, whether it's fee paying or non-fee paying, 100 grand. I just say, what do you think you're going to earn at the top of your career? And they go, 100 grand. And so what I do is I go, so let me just give you some figures. In this country, the average salary is 28,000 quid. 1 in 10 earn 50,000 quid. Only 1 in 100 earn 250,000 quid. What makes you think that you're so special that you're going to earn 100 grand when you don't like coming to school, you don't like doing exams, you don't want to revise and study? And they go, and you can see them going, he's got a point. He's got a point, hasn't he? And I go, I'm not here to make studying fun and enjoyable. Mr. Instone can make a lot of what he does. I've seen it, and I know he's amazing. Nick can make a lot of what he does fun. I said, but I'm here just to help you through the grind. I said, but at the end of this, one day you're going to get a piece of paper with some grades on it. And I have been there, and some students burst into tears because they know that their life is just going to be a little bit more difficult tomorrow than it was yesterday because they didn't pull their finger out. And I said, and I don't care because you're not my kid. I'm not your teacher. I'm here for an hour. But if you sit and listen to me and give me an hour of your time, I will teach you something that will change your life forever. And if you sit there and think, I can earn an extra 10% over a 50-year working career, bearing in mind you're not going to get a pension until you're 75, then understand that's going to turn into £1 million. And that's when their ears just go, bing, right? And I go, guys, just learn some great skills that help you do something that maybe you don't want to do, but you've got no choice. So the thing is, I say, the kids go, I don't want to do it because, this. And I go, well, don't do it then. You're a teacher, you've got no choice to work with them. I just say, well, don't do it. But out of the group in here, some will do it, some won't. Some will think about it and play a ball and just do it a little bit. But it'll be the 80-20 rule. 20% of you in here will take on board what I say, run with it, and you'll be the ones that make the most money because less than 100 people have got 50% of the world's wealth. It's not fair. You're going to have to fight like crazy once you get out there. There's going to be 10 people outside a room waiting to go in for an interview, and one of you is going to get the job. The only reason one's going to get the job and 9 aren't is because you're the best.
I think we've got I don't know how much better we can get with this advice, but I'm going to ask you one last question, and that is, off the top of your head, is there a one extra, after all of this, one extra tip that we can leave them with? One extra tip, one extra thing to think about, one extra piece of advice, anything.
Just outwork anybody else. Outwork everybody else. The people at the top are not there because they've got the most talent, most intellect. That 99% of the time, they've outworked the next person in the queue. Grind it out. Develop and discover a work ethic which genuinely is shocking to anybody else. Not last night before, I'm doing some work. I worked till 1 a.m. I got up at 5:10 to go to the gym. 4 hours and 10 minutes sleep I got, but I was up, and yesterday I was working till 11 o'clock at night. I work on a weekend. I am not any brighter. I'm not, none of that. I drive myself forward. I have a work ethic I rarely see, and I take the lion's share of the work. I make a fortune. I travel the globe, not so much now, of course, but I've got a career made from zero. From less than zero. When I was 16, there were 6 of us used to knock around, and 2 are now dead from drugs. 2 went to prison, and 2 of us got out. And ever since then, I've looked to work harder than anybody else. I go in the gym this morning. I'm 52 years old, and I did a personal best on bench press this morning in the gym because I don't believe in being anything other than the best person I can be, and I'll outwork anybody else to get to the top. And if you do that, you develop a great work ethic. you're going to have an astonishing life. But almost never do people reach the top and truly develop and realize their true potential without an astonishing level of hard work.
David Thomas, on that bombshell, we will leave it. And thanks enormously for sharing that with us. And you're only down in Halifax, so maybe once we get open again, we can invite you up here and have a chat in person. But now, thanks for joining us. All the best to whatever you do, and we'll see you again. Bye. I'm joined by Mabel Instone, who's been doing some interesting fundraising during the lockdown. It came about because the London Marathon was cancelled and the runners who were going to raise money for the Fragile X Society couldn't fundraise. So the Society came up with the idea of people all over the country doing 26 ridiculous challenges to raise money. So Mabel, what 26 ridiculous things have you been doing over the past 26 days?
Well, we did a cat treat marathon. We made a totem pole.
What's that?
You stack 26 soft toys on top of each other. We picked up 26 baked beans with a straw.
Right.
Played blow pom pom. And I listed 26 old Doctor Who companions and 26 new Doctor Who companions as fast as I could.
Right, great. And how much have you raised so far?
£305.
That's pretty good. So, but what is the Fragile X Society?
The Fragile X Society is a charity that supports families with Fragile X, which is the most common inherited cause of learning difficulties and autism. It also advises doctors and teachers on latest research and best ways to support people with the condition, so families can ring in for advice.
Right, okay, well let's have a look at some of the ridiculous things you've been doing.
It all depends on you, Dandy. Dandy, try to raise money.
Thanks very much for joining us, Mabel.
Thank you for inviting me to join you.
Now, if you've been supporting a charity or been involved in raising money or looking after people in the community or key workers or people who need our help, do let us know, because as we know, not all heroes wear capes or their pants on the outside. So, Dr. Richardson, it's time for an academic update. What have you got for us?
We've got two bits of information that have just been released from Ofqual for the A-level and GCSE grades. So we now know that teachers are going to have to enter their grades between the 1st and the 12th of June. So they'll know when those go in. And we've also been given confirmation for when the results will be released. So for the A-level, that's going to be on the 13th of August, and for the GCSEs, that will be on the 20th of August.
That's the normal time that it would have been anyway.
Which was the normal dates that had been agreed before. There was some speculation that they might be released a bit earlier, but no, they're now going to be released on the dates that were initially agreed.
And we've got all the information, so Year 11 don't have to do anything, we don't have to submit anything, we've got it all.
We've got it all, we're collecting the data, and that data will all be entered to the exam boards between the 1st and 12th of June.
Great. Now what about options? Who gets an option and what sort of options are we talking about?
Okay, so yeah, we're starting to look towards September and a new academic year. So for Year 10, or the new Year 10, they would have already started to look at their options, and I've already had their returns in, and we're building up the option blocks, and I'll be getting back to them fairly soon so that they can make their final choices.
So So have you got all that data in? So they've seen an option booklet, they've seen all that, they've done all that.
They've
had a
seen
look.
all that, they've done all that, they've had their first choices
Right.
in terms of choosing what they'd like to do, and we're now going through the process of identifying if there's any clashes and sort of in negotiations about making sure that they can try and get the options that they want. And I'll be getting back to them soon, within the next couple of weeks, to finalise those. That's similar with the new year 12. Current year 11 students have been telling us what they would like to do, and again we're starting to build up the option blocks for them. And then finally the new year 9, so year 9 in September, our current year 8s, again I'll be in contact with them soon, because they start to have a little bit of choice in the subjects that they can do in year 9.
Really? What sort of choice?
They can start deciding whether they want to follow a sort of linguistics route or more of an art route. So there starts to be choices between doing French, German, we introduce design, and also whether they continue to look in drama in more detail. So they get a little bit of choice in year 9, and I'll start be talking to our current year 8s about what they want to do next year.
And as normal, they won't know which classes they're going to be in, which sets they're going to be in, which groupings they're going to be in, because we won't know that. That'll be worked out through the summer as normal anyway, won't it?
Yeah. So once we have that information in, we can start looking at working out the timetables, and then start looking at groupings for September.
Great, brilliant. Thank you very much.
Have a great half term. Stay 2 metres apart and don't touch your face.